Overcome by our testimony. Our next guest, we're glad to welcome back to Bodybuilders TV. Had the opportunity to interview him a couple of years ago at the ICRS International Christian Retail Show, and we were excited. He was such a blessing to us in the body, and he made such an impact. Welcome to Bodybuilders TV with Will and Brenda, Billy Jack, and Alita McDaniel.
I'm sorry I didn't warn the camera people we were going to stand, but
yeah, we did, and we're short of Mike too.
We are so glad to have.
We can share. Friend. We've been sharing for 17 years.
I don't want to share.
She wants her own. There you go. And y'all left that young'un home. I understand. She had volleyball practice.
Yes, and she made the team today.
She did make the team.
She made the volleyball team. So
yay! She made
the
team.
My baby's on the court. Y'all better not mess with her.
Okay. Let me just introduce, and I want to read and share. Okay, because I tell you, this is we're gonna have a great time. I was just so excited to have. Billy Jack and Alita McDaniel have been married for 15 years now, actually 15 when the book was written, and have a beautiful daughter, Jacqueline Carney. We just call her Carney, okay? In addition to sharing their story with churches and other groups, they've started the Billy Jack McDaniel organization committed to help change lives spiritually and save lives by educating people about the importance of personal workplace safety. He's the author of the book, Dead Man Breathing. Explosion on the rig, fire on the rig, I'm on fire. My yells turned to screams that were absorbed into the whoosh of the flames. The fire is gorgeous, teal blues, glittering yellow, and oranges and red, all swirling together and lighting up the night. But engulfed in the middle of this blazing inferno, Billy Jack McDaniel is literally roasting to death. What starts out as a normal workday on March 3rd, 2006, in the oil fields of East Texas is quickly transformed into a situation that brings about what many believe is the worst work-related burn injury in history. In the blink of an eye, this event changes a young couple's American dream into a nightmare journey through the fires of tragedy. With burns covering more than 95% of Jack's once strong, strapping body, his survival and eventual recovery seem impossible. Before we go any further, come on, just put your hands together for the testimony and for the life and the blessing of Billy Jack. I tell you, Billy, I told his wife, which she didn't get a chance to come on the last one. I said, listen, you know I'm in love with your husband. She said, well, he's in love with you too. So he is a blessing.
Yes,
we met, and it was just like a total connection, and just the testimony. But his heart, he's got a heart of gold, that just blesses.
I was producing then. I wasn't on the show, and we literally, I think we did an hour interview.
Yeah, it normally goes over.
Yes.
Because once you get into the story, there is something in it that everyone can relate to. And, on the show here tonight, we've talked a lot about race, and we've talked a lot about different family, different backgrounds.
Yes.
But I want to share something with you. In Genesis 1:26, God spoke into existence everything.
Yes.
Except man. And he reached down and got his hands dirty. And he said, let's make man in our image. So it doesn't matter what color you are, if your body's covered with scars on the outside, the inside, you are made
That's right.
in the image of God. And you have to remember that you are not defeated. When you wake up in the morning, you are not defeated.
That's
Amen.
right.
You have the strength available. You just got to reach out there and get it.
I mean, and I know we've got to go back and talk about that day, what's important, and dead man breathing. But, you know, there's so many people that wake up and you plan that day. We've got our plans, what we're going to do that day. No one plans for tragedy.
That's right.
No one plans for an emergency. No one wakes up that day and thinks there's going to be an accident. Have you seen the commercial where I forget what the commercial is, they said, okay, you're going to get a ticket at this time, and then your car is going to be towed. You know, have you seen anybody seen that commercial?
Yeah.
You know, but that's not reality. That doesn't happen. We don't wake up and know, because who knows that if we knew that if we were at that intersection, our car was going to be hit, we're not going.
That's right. I mean,
That's right. If I'd have
You're
known,
not going to do it.
Right.
I would have ran. I would have never walked down that aisle if I'd have known that this was going to happen to us. And I was 27 or 26 at the time, and he was 28. I'd have ran and never looked back.
But you say no one knew, and I mean to stay. So we don't have that. But what do you do when you're faced with the challenges of everyday life? What happens when that day, and I say this so often, there is a number that's there for tragedy to come in your life. It may not be today, but it's coming up. And one thing to know is, no matter what that situation is, God said, I'll never leave you and I'll never forsake you. Be assured that whatever situation comes into your life, that God is right there. He's not surprised by it, but he was there. So that day, Billy Jack, you know, Alita, y'all woke up, you know, bring me from that morning.
Well, I was in East Texas, of course, and we were working nights, and I got up. I always got to the rig an hour early just to get my mind set right and get ready to work. And
Well, but for some of us, people that may not know, explain to us about an oil rig situation or what that is, because many
yes,
people don't
ma'am.
know.
We were actually drilling for natural gas. We would go straight down for approximately 9,500 foot, and then we would kick off to the side and drill horizontal. And the oil field is really no more dangerous than building homes or working in auto plants. You do everything possible to stay and keep yourself safe. And we were tripping pipe. When the bit needs to be changed, you have to pull all the pipe out of the hole. And I got there about an hour early, got everything ready, got my mind set right, and I knew what we were going to be doing that night. So, you know, you kind of get prepared, you go into the safety meeting, the whole deal. And of course, just before I went to work, I called my wife, and you know, I told her I loved her and that I would call her later, and maybe when I ate lunch or whatever. And you know, you got to figure I was 28 years old and had a beautiful wife, and I mean, I tried to, you know, I talked to her every chance I had.
He called me 42 times that day.
Wow.
To be a matter of fact, very out of the ordinary.
So was it something, did you sense something, not knowing what? Just,
Yes.
was there something just
Yes.
in the air that now that you look back, you didn't know it then, but things were different?
Very much so, yes.
And got to work, and about 11:30 that night, it was just the most intense explosion. It was surreal. I mean, you're standing there and you're thinking, oh, this can't be happening. And in an instant, I was engulfed. And we all love to look at fire, whether it's sitting by the campfire or you have one in your home. And it was beautiful, just like the back of the book says. It was the most beautiful thing that you had ever seen. But it was killing me.
Yes.
And you ask what you do in that moment, and I wanted to quit.
Yes.
I believe that whenever you are in that kind of pain, there comes a time to where you welcome death. It is something that you invite and I could not achieve it. Death would not come to me. And you cannot imagine what I looked like. I mean, it was a very horrific scene. And I never lost consciousness. And I of course, I couldn't cry. I couldn't, all I could do was scream. And, everybody has that crazy uncle that was in Vietnam or something. And, they go, and, he tells those stories about being in the foxhole. 1 minute you're screaming, cussing,
right.
crying. Mm-hmm. I understand that.
Yes.
It's a certain amount of fear that I had.
Hold on a minute, Billy Jack. Alita, I'm looking at your face, and even now, years later, you're there. I'm looking at your face, and as a wife, I can only imagine, even afterwards, having to, you have to do these interviews. People have to hear them. You have to do it. But part of me, I hate I have to do it because it takes you back there. It takes you now. He's there, but before we go there, then you go. Before you got that phone call, before somebody contacted you, did you just sense? Because this is your other half. This is you. Mm-hmm. Could you just sense something's wrong?
I knew that something was not right. I had known for a while that something was going to happen, but now as to when that moment was, I wasn't sure. But looking back now, I know that was God preparing me to the best of his ability for what was to come. Mm-hmm. Nobody can be prepared totally for that situation. And to be honest, if I did not know the Lord, I don't understand how humanly possible it would have been for me to have even tried to go through something like that on my own. And there's so many people that don't know the Lord, and they are facing tragedies every day. And like you said, if they have not faced it, it's coming, because that's the world. And so it hurts me to know that when something like that happens, that no one knows who to turn to if they don't know Jesus. Mm. And that's, you were talking about you have a passion for Africa. When we were writing this book, our prayer was that this book would go to places that Jack and I may never see.
Yes.
And be in the hands of people that we may never know on all continents of the earth, because people need to know that Jesus is real and Jesus does love us and he is there waiting for us, and that he's never going to leave us. He's never going to forsake us. Good times or bad, whenever you want to crawl in a hole and die and never come out, he is there. He is holding you like a baby. And that is our desire for Dead Men Breathing, is for it to be in the hands of people that don't know Jesus, for one, but people that do know Jesus, so they will understand that, reiterate to them Jesus is there for them.